The Souls series is known for being quite a difficult series of video games, and especially the bosses in the most recent game Elden Ring and even more recent expansion Shadow of the Erdtree made a lot of problems for a lot of people. These bosses can be ball-bustingly difficult and very challenging, and maybe while being frustrated learning these bosses you had thoughts like, this boss is unfair, this boss is bullshit, this attack is too quick, this combat is not made for these bosses, and even worse, you maybe watched some of these terrible video essays.
Part 4. Combos everywhere. Unlike Shadow Fragments, these combos go to infinity and beyond. It's the same crap we saw in the base game on steroids. Somewhere along the way, FromSoft decided to patch out your turn. Gone is the ebb and flow style of combat where you trade equal offensive gambits. Most of the time, you're forced to settle for tiny gaps, sneaking in a single measly attack. That's if you evade everything preceding it, otherwise that's now a healing window.
Like, I could debunk all of this pretty easily, but I'm not going to in this video because it's not really the focus. I think it's very easy to get into this frustrated mindset and just thinking it's the game's fault and blaming the game while being frustrated. Hell, even I fall into this trap sometimes. But honestly, if you just sit back and analyze the bosses, you can definitely make a lot of sense of most of the attacks. I will say there are definitely bullshit attacks and we will talk about this later. But first off, if you enjoy this content, please like and subscribe and also ring the bell for notifications. I aim to hit 500 subscribers by the end of this year and I would really appreciate all of you supporting this channel. It helps me out a ton. And why I'm making this video is because I recently no-hit 4 bosses on rune level 1 and once again understood the essence of learning fights in the Soulsborne series. And I want to help you guys to maybe master whatever challenge or whatever boss you're stuck at right now. So if this sounds interesting for you, please be sure to stay tuned in. And with that said, let's get into the video. Maybe the first thing you ask yourself is, why do I even want to get good at a boss? Why do I even want to master it? Well, I think there can be quite a few benefits of that. First off, you can of course beat the game. If you're stuck at a boss, especially a very hard boss, and master him and learn his moveset, you can beat the game and beat the boss and feel a great sense of achievement, which is always very fun. Number 2 is, if you really love these games, this can add a lot of replay value to them. Mastering these bosses further and doing some crazy challenge runs can be very fun and can give you a great sense of accomplishment as well. In my opinion, it's just pure fun and one of my favorite things to do in these games. You can go for flashier kills, longer kills, harder kills. Basically, your restrictions can be as bare as just beating the boss, or they can be rune level 1, new game +7, +0 weapon, no status effects, +0 shadow level in the Shadow of the Erdtree DLC. And yeah, these fights will probably take you up to an hour, but it's possible. I personally don't have that skill level, but some dedicated players definitely have. And yeah, that's the beauty of this. Furthermore, mastering these bosses can help you a lot in general and can make you understand these games better and maybe even benefit in older games. But now, I want to get into breaking down how you actually get good at a boss in steps. Before that, I just want to say these steps apply to pretty much all the From Software games. However, I will be mostly talking about Elden Ring and a little bit of Bloodborne because these are the games I'm currently challenge running. So yeah, bear that in mind. However, it works just as well for Demon Souls, Dark Souls, or whatever Souls game you want to play. But now, let's break down the steps of learning bosses. And let's start with step 1. Step 1 is failure and observation. At first you will just die to the boss repeatedly, especially if you are at a low level or if the boss hits very hard. This is fine and it's just a natural thing that happens. Important thing here is not to get frustrated and just observing the boss, trying to understand his moves. Visualize them in your head, why you get hit by them, why you die to them, and start to slowly analyze the boss. And this is a nice lead up to step 2, because step 2 is analysis. And for this I have 3 types of attacks personally. Number 1, there are the easy attacks, easy enough attacks, just usual boss attacks, combos, everything you can deal with easily and you either already know from your first playthroughs or just click with you instantly. These attacks are usually not that big of a problem and you can learn them quickly. Number 2 are the tricky attacks, basically brutal attacks. Everyone struggles with different things. For some people it might be delays, for some people it might be positioning. For me, most of the time it's reaction checks. Attacks that come out very quickly, like 15 frames or even lower. The Divine Beast, for example, has this quick double bite attack and it was very hard to deal with for me. But this is something you can learn as well. These attacks can be very tricky to learn and can cost you a lot of time, but you will definitely get there. And the number 3 category I have personally is the special moves category. Moves like Waterfall Dance, Malikev's Destined Death Flurry or Messmer Assault. These moves can either wind up some of the hardest or easiest depending on you learned. It's just in a special category because usually they require require special effort. And yeah, they can either make or break the fight. A lot of people would probably agree that waterfowl dance is one of the hardest moves in the game to dodge, but I personally didn't find Messmer assault to be very hard to punish and deal with. And after you observe the boss and learn, we come to step 3, and it's the execution. Now you have to put everything you've learned to practice and basically defeat the boss. And this can be quite difficult, especially if you are doing it flawlessly. However, it's very important to not get frustrated, especially if you get hit by like type 1 attacks, the easy attacks, because yeah, it can be very demotivating, but you can definitely get through it. It's important that you just keep at it. Another important thing I can't stress enough is please take breaks. Genuinely, if I'm burnt out or tired, it's just not going to help smashing your head against the wall for 10 hours. It won't lead anywhere, you won't learn much. Just take a break and try next day or a few hours later. It will help you, I promise. If a boss is too hard, sleep over it. You will probably defeat him very quickly the next day. Happened with Messmer and Putrescent Knight to me. So yeah, that's for that. Well, now we talked about the most important thing, basically the step-by-step of getting good at a boss. But now I want to mention some other important factors or things that play a part into this whole boss optimization or learning process. And first I'm going to talk about optimization. You can definitely optimize a fight way more than you think. Even I'm sometimes surprised what people find as openings. Especially with quick weapons, you can whiff in attacks where you wouldn't expect some, and in Elden Ring you can jump a lot of attacks to get even more damage. It's insane how much you can do, and it shortens the fight, so it's very important and very useful. Then I want to talk about restrictions. Restrictions depend only on you. As I already mentioned, you can only fight the boss to defeat the boss, or you can fight him to absolutely master him to absolute perfection. It only depends on you. Also another thing, on normal runs or challenge runs with big health bars, if you have a lot of heals, you can make a lot of mistakes and also enhance the learning process by that, so definitely make use of that if you can. And now let's talk about obstacles that can happen while learning a boss. Number 1, bullshit attacks. They are pretty rare in Souls games, but they definitely exist. There is the Quick Slash from Godskin Apostle or Meteor Laser. It really depends on the boss, and there are some attacks that are just very questionable, and I don't know how some of it was playtested. Romina Phase 2 Transition is another example. These attacks are just bad. And then there are bosses like the One Reborn who just love to spam bullshit attacks, so be wary of those. Number 2 is inconsistency. Feeling like you're not getting any better or your skill level fluctuating is very frustrating and can have an impact on your performance too. Number 3 are bad runbacks, especially in the older games, but also some rare instances of it in Elden Ring. Bad runbacks can make it very annoying and frustrating to die over. And for really bad runbacks, I even use save files to make the process go by faster, like for example for Martyr Logarius. Like, I'm not running all the way back. And of course, just overall stress and anxiety while dealing with the boss because of some hard attacks you haven't fully mastered, and that makes you slip up. Happened to me with Renala here after trying to no damage her for 5 hours. It's frustrating, and it's just important to always keep your cool and not get too stressed out. Once again, I can't stress enough how important breaks are. Please take breaks, they genuinely help a ton. But yeah, now that we talked about all of it, when you finally win against the boss, when you finally understand the boss moveset and can dodge all the hard attacks that made you a lot of trouble and made you die over and over, it's just one of the best feels in the entire series for me. So yeah, have fun everyone, and good luck learning. Thank you so much for watching this video. I felt like this was a very important video to make, and I genuinely hope it helps some of you guys to master these bosses and maybe like have a nice mindset for it, because I think some of these bosses are very hard but very worth learning, especially the Elden Ring bosses. They are just fantastic. If you have some different tips or some other things you think I maybe forgot, please be sure to comment them down below. I would really appreciate it. I'm going on vacation now, so the gap between this and the next video will probably be a bit longer, but I'm going to be back soon, especially continuing with no hits after that, because while making this video I even got the mid-run no damage on root level 1, and it was just so fun. So yeah, be sure to comment down below what you think, and once again, thank you so much for watching. With that said, have a nice day and bye!